Since the year of our Lord 2003, the rail driver has ruled over the domain of train simulator controllers nearly unchallenged. In the centuries that have passed, legions of rail fans have called out, beseeching the gods for another option. Just when all hope seemed lost, a challenger has arisen from the frozen north, ready to challenge the rail driver for market supremacy. This would be one stand to rule them all and would vanquish the forces of...
Cut. This sounds too much like Lord of the Rings.
Then why did you write the script like this?
I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Were you watching Lord of the Rings when you wrote this?
No. Maybe. Okay. You caught me. Let's just back up and do this like we normally do it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, and welcome to the Western North Carolina Railroad YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the new Simhogger control stand. We'll start with assembly of the stand itself, then move on to setting up the controller for operation. We'll also hear from the creator of this control stand to learn about how it came to be. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the next generation of train simulator hardware. The Simhogger control stand is a new train simulator controller which opened for pre-orders in April of 2025. The first iteration of the stand is a scaled-down recreation of a standard EMD control stand. Its design allows for anyone to order the individual 3D printed modules, such as the throttle, brakes, etc., separately. This will allow people to build as complex or as simple of a setup as they'd like. There's also the option to order the entire stand with the case included as one item. We were granted early access to one of the complete setups and asked by wirelessBilly to review the stand. With this being a controller that you put together yourself, some questions might be on your mind. Is this really a plug-and-play product? Is the Simhogger the next generation? Let's find out. Our control stand arrived in 2 boxes. The first one contained the boards for the stand itself, and the other contained all the components and modules. Also inside was the manual for setup and a wiring diagram. We can't possibly explain how important this manual will be to you later on, so don't lose it. The first step was to assemble the actual stand or case. All the necessary screws to assemble the case were included as part of the package. They came inside a separate plastic bag. We started with the brake end of the case. Every piece of the case had a sticker on it to indicate where it went, and assembly went fairly quickly. The only real tip we have for anyone putting these together is don't use a cordless drill. It's very easy to strip one of the screws out. Use a regular old Phillips screwdriver. Once we had the brake end of the case together, we moved on to the main section of the stand. This also went fairly quickly. After about 20 minutes from unboxing, we had the entire case assembled and it was time for paint. We decided to apply a coat of primer to the stand first. The material these stands are built from will soak up paint, so it's a good idea to apply a coat of primer before painting, especially if you're going for a glossy finish. Next, we had to select a paint color. After considering several options, we decided on green rather than gray or black. For anyone wondering, this specific shade of green is called the Hills of Ireland and can be found at Home Depot. We applied 2 coats of paint and allowed the stand to dry. The results were outstanding. After allowing the paint to cure for a couple days, we moved on to installing the control modules. We began with the brake control modules. As part of the purchase, all the needed bolts are included with the stand and are divided up into plastic bags. The bags are labeled just like the boards and note which module the bolts are used to install, which makes the whole process a breeze. We started by feeding the cables for the automatic brake through the stand, then we installed the bolts. One note here is to make sure you use the longer bolts in the correct spots. Once the automatic brake was installed, we repeated the process for the independent brake, and just like that, the brakes were on. We then moved on to the main portion of the stand. We started with the lead headlight switch. Once again, this was a case of feed the wires through and then installing the bolts. After the headlight switch, we installed the reverser. The reverser, throttle, and dynamic brake modules all use the larger 3/8 by 1 inch bolts. It's pretty easy to note where they go as they're the only modules with holes large enough to accommodate these bolts. From here, it was a pretty quick process of feeding wires and installing bolts, just like the rest of the build. After about 30 minutes, all the modules were installed and it was time to install the wire leads into the control module. Initially, we were a bit concerned about this bit of the process, but it actually proved to be the easiest part. Every module has a plug at the end of its wire, and every port on the control box PCB board is clearly labeled. It really is just a matter of plugging the correct wire into its port. If you have trouble reading what is printed on the board, we'd recommend getting a magnifying glass or using the zoom feature on your phone's camera to read the labels. The only real challenge is feeding the wires through the back end of the box. Inside your manual, you'll find a page which lists each component module and which port it should be plugged into. This is particularly important when it comes to the lights. For example, the gauge light, step light, and cab light switches all plug into D-aux ports 1 through 3. If your stand is equipped with throttle and dynamic brake module backlights, these plug into the ports marked LED 1 and LED 2 respectively. Once again, if you get confused, you can always consult the chart in the manual or seek assistance in the Simhogger Discord server. Link in the video description below. Once we got all the wires plugged in, it was time for the final step. When the time came to finally give this stand a test run, the computer end proved to be fairly easy. Currently, the stand is compatible with Run 8, with beta testing work underway for Train Sim World and Railroader. Depending on which train simulator you'd like to use, the process for connecting the stand to the simulator may vary. We decided to test the stand using Run 8. And here's how you get your Simhogger working with that simulator. First, we downloaded the Simhogger Link program from the wirelessBilly website. This program is essentially what allows the signals from the control box on your stand to be read by your computer. Be sure to check for any firmware updates on either the Simhogger website or on their Discord server. Note: the Simhogger Link program is only required for Run 8. It must remain running in the background while using the Simhogger. For Run 8, make sure that you plug the cable into the port on the right. The left-hand port is used for USB inputs, such as Train Sim World. Simply plug the included micro USB cable into the port on the rear of the control box and the other end into your computer. Then, open the Simhogger Link program on your computer. Open the program, and when prompted to select a COM port, type 1 and press enter. Then type in which UDP port you'd like to use. We went with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as it's the default and fairly easy to remember. Then press enter again. You'll see the feedback for all the connected modules pop up in the link window. It's a good idea to test all the control surfaces before opening any simulator. This is an easy process. Simply move the controls around and verify they are working by watching the input feed log on the link window.
After you open Run 8 and load into whichever map you'd like to run on, hover over the Controls tab and find the Use Custom Device tab. Enter whichever UDP port number you entered on the Simhogger link window, then select Use Custom Device. You may need to cycle the controls on the stand in order for the simulator and your Simhogger stand to be in sync with each other. Now let's hear from the creator of the Simhogger setup and cover a few of the most frequently asked questions about the system and the stand itself.
We're here with wirelessBilly, the creator of the Simhogger. Why don't you start by telling us about yourself first, and then we'll go through the frequently asked questions.
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to be on here and discuss it with you. You know, I'm a big fan of what you do for the community, and you know, the train sim community in general. But yeah, my name is Will Lorbach, and been in the railroad industry for almost 20 years. Been an engineer for about 17 years now, and I'm a maker. I love creating, making stuff, electronics specifically, and then it kind of branched out into 3D modeling, 3D printing. But I like kind of just starting from scratch and getting somewhere in the end.
Where and when did you come up with the idea to build the Simhogger stand?
So a few years ago, I got into making some mock air brake stands, specifically like 26L with the 26C automatic and the SA26, and then kind of dove deep into making mock-ups of how that system functions. And this was mainly as an instructional that could be used as a teaching tool for people and things like that. And I had a number of people reach out to me basically asking like, hey, can this work with my train simulator? Can I use this in Run 8? And to be honest, the answer at the time was no, I don't have any plans on doing that. And then as I thought about it more and kind of experimented, and you know, I've had a lot of experience with Arduinos, being a maker, and prior to that, and still now, I make controllers for retired railroad signals, full-size signals that are retired for collectors. I decided, you know, heck, I'm going to try this, and with the support of the community, it's been overwhelming, and it's kept me motivated, and put a lot of time, a lot of sweat, a lot of brain power into it, but we've got here, you know, and that's kind of where we're at now.
What exactly does this specific stand and system, because, you know, there are other components being made, what does this system offer the consumer that other products on the market like RailDriver don't?
To be honest, I really think it offers a realism that is currently unchallenged. You know, using the magic basically of what 3D printing is now compared to what it was a decade ago, it's became economical to make near full-size stands that are lightweight, that people can move around, they can put them on their desk, you know, and you can customize it to what you want. I don't like to talk about the existing ones, but you know, what you get is what you get. You know, it's going to be a keyboard size controller that has the same functionality that it's had for a long time.
Speaking of the RailDriver, of course.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, this, if you want to have an EMD throttle and dynamic brake, and you want to have a 30 CDW brake valve instead of a 26L, well, that's what we're going to have. I'm already working on a beta version of like a first generation EMD setup with a cylindrical control stand and 24 RL brakes. The logic inside the Simhogger control module, which is the box basically that handles all the data parsing between the simulator controller and the computer, or I will mention it has been tested and works with a PS5 for Train Sim World, although we are still developing that. You can basically make whatever you want. You know, if the time comes, and I do foresee it in the future, where we offer, say, Steam locomotive controls, that is, you know, it would be plug and play with your existing box. You don't have to go all in. If your budget is lower and you just want a throttle and a horn and a bell, you can do that. You can build from scratch, design your own stand, design your own futuristic stand. I mean, if you want to make the control stand from the, you know, Boba Fett train where they did Lawrence of Arabia, I mean, heck, you can do that. That's what I wanted. I wanted people to have the freedom to make what they want, so everyone kind of feels like they're building their own unique thing.
So I guess that leads into my next question, which you've already alluded to some of it. What exactly in the future can we expect from Simhogger?
Well, I know I've been asked a lot to go the desktop route, and I think if I do go a desktop route, I'd probably almost focus more on maybe cab cars or something like that. I will say that you know, Rail Driver does capture the feel of a desktop in a miniature space. Desktop controls are quite large. If time allows and capacity allows, yeah, that's definitely something I'll explore. For me right now, the priority is gain the EMD type controls and the 26L dialed in, get the production up. We're just kind of dialing up production. Everything's made to order. You know, it's a family business, so it takes time. But I want to get that first generation EMD control going. Doesn't have to be an F unit. I mean, you can make it, you know, set it up like an SD9 if you want. Then I'm also looking at GE type modern control stands with a modern electronic air brake. And then we're also looking at steam locomotives. There's, you know, some new simulators coming out that people are really excited about in the steam aspect. I know Railroader's done a great job capturing steam, and I want to have something that's unique that people can really feel like, hey, you know, this is cool. I'm going to look down and see a glow of a fire inside that firebox on this controller. I get that it's, you know, quarter scale of the real thing, but I think it all adds to the realism of the simulation.
So with technology developing as fast as it is, and you say it yourself, you know, things have changed in this last 5 years, 10 years. How do you see future expansions going? I mean, will future Simhogger products be backwards compatible? Are we going to have to worry about, you know, backwards compatibility with some of your future plans, or how's that going to work?
Well, in the future, I don't ever plan on changing the meat and potatoes of the system. I don't ever foresee a reason where the throttles would be phased out, or, you know, where you'd be forced to update. There's been a lot of interest in a clean cab radio emulator, basically, for the control stand, for TeamSpeak, for multiplayer games, Run 8, Railroader, things like that, where honestly, I think once I get that developed, if I get that developed, you might see like a Simhogger control module 2.0 that incorporates the TeamSpeak compatibility and things like that with the original Simhogger module, but you wouldn't have to replace any components. You know, no matter what, I would like to think that you buy that Simhogger control module, and if you decide you want electronic air brakes on your EMD stand, when that comes out, that will plug in perfectly. Customers that do have it may note, I mean, I already have the actual I/O port on the circuit board labeled as dynamic / Johnson, right? So I'm planning for a Johnson bar in the future instead of dynamic brake. So I tried to make it so it's very easy to be compatible with whatever I come up with in the future.
So with Simhogger entering the market now, are people going to be able to order the entire stand as a one and done kit, or are people going to be able to order it in bits and pieces and just build what they want?
So as I said, Simhogger is designed to be modular, designed to be buildable how you see fit. You can order individual parts, or you can order, right now it's called the full build, which is basically all the components offered except the 26L feed valve. That's kind of an aesthetic feature to it. The box itself, the control stand box, the CSB as I call it, that is ordered separate from everything else, usually ships earlier than the Simhogger itself, and it gives you an opportunity to assemble it before all the components arrive. But it's not necessary, and there are designs out there, and there will be more designs on making your own control stand if you wish to do that. The CSB is made from MDF, and it is milled out with a CNC machine. But as many of you know, MDF is not the best product in the world for it and has its imperfections, but we try to do our best with that. As far as the individual products, like I said, the full build would encompass everything, and there is a discount with that versus ordering everything separately. But for the budget-friendly buyer, there is also the opportunity to just a la carte whatever you'd like.
So with the first run of Simhoggers coming to market, how can people go about ordering this? Is there a wait list? Are we looking at an increase in production later? And if people are interested, how and where can they find information on it?
So currently there is a wait list. It works by a reservation system with a deposit. Basically, what we do is we open up a reservation slot that I think the last time I did 30 slots. The reservation is $75. It's basically counted as a deposit towards the final purchase. And then we start production. We go down the line. We do 10 at a time. And we get that out the door and start the next one. Due to just the nature of the beast and how we manufacture things, it takes time. I always like erring on the side of caution, and once your numbers up for production, I give it like 60 days. It's way earlier than that, but I just like having that cushion in case something happens or components don't come correctly or machinery breakdown. Like I said, we're a little shop, family shop, but the goal is to gear up production and eventually get to where we maybe are doing, say 30 units a month, if not more. But it's just, we're in that point where we're expanding. We're kind of feeling out the atmosphere, the business atmosphere, because everything's made here, right? Everything's made by hand, made to order. It's not made in a factory overseas. I can't say we're made in the USA because it's globally sourced, but yeah, the products are made here, globally sourced materials. And as people know, that's not always the easiest thing to do, to find the correct component that works, that meets our standards. And, quality control is a big thing. I stand by my product and, warranty it. I don't have a correct, actual warranty drawn up yet, but we have had a few failures and get those corrected as fast as we can, for the customer.
We've had a lot of fun using this stand. Honestly, the first night we set it up was supposed to be a filming night, but it quickly devolved into a full trip down the A-line while blasting eastbound and down. Overall, we found the Simhogger stand to be very easy to build, set up, and use. It really is just plug and play. While the modules are 3D printed, they still feel sturdy and are scaled to just the right size. When fully assembled, the stand is small enough that it can be easily moved around when not in use. It's also just the right weight, allowing the controls to be used without the stand itself bouncing around. The Simhogger control stand would be a great addition to anyone's gaming setup. Whether you're someone who enjoys hyper-realistic simulation or a more casual experience, the Simhogger can be used for any playstyle. Its utility will only increase with time as further development on this system continues. In short, it's well worth the investment. For further details on future projects by WirelessBilly, details on the stand, or to purchase one for yourself, head on over to the Simhogger website or join their Discord. Links to both are in the description below. We look forward to seeing what else is down the track for Simhogger.